Hey, what is going on, guys? This video today is going to be a collection of helpful building and editing drills designed specifically for console Fortnite. I had always planned to make a video like this a few months ago, but console not being able to instantly edit really limited the potential of possible drills. But now that instant editing is possible on console due to the new custom bindings feature, I can finally show you guys a nice mix of some really helpful building and editing drills. A lot of people always ask me how to improve building or editing speed, and the truth is that building and editing drills are really your best option. They not only teach you specific techniques that are useful in game, but they also train your fingers and mind to process and execute faster building and editing. I'm going to aim to show you about 5 different drills in this video, but quick warning before we start, I would strongly recommend binding your edit button to a different button than whatever opens your building menu. If they're bound to the same button, you won't be able to instantly edit because you'll have a slight delay every time you try to edit. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so the first drill that we're going to be going over in this video today is a building drill which combines ramp rush practice with catching yourself falling down. So one of the best things about this drill is the fact that you can do whichever specific ramp rush you want to practice. So if you're a generally new builder, you can just do single ramp wall, and if you're on the other end of the spectrum and you're a super experienced builder, you could do floor ramp wall or maybe even double floor ramp wall. Now the build down and catching yourself method is probably the most important part of this drill because that specific building method is actually incredibly helpful in actual Fortnite games. Some of the building and editing drills that you're going to see are more so designed to practice building and editing at a fast speed and not necessarily for practical in-game use, but this specific part is definitely practical and you'll for sure see it from time to time in my own personal gameplays. It's pretty much as simple as turbo building either 2 or 3 walls as you're falling down, and then quickly placing either a ramp or floor piece connected to the last wall to catch yourself. I personally prefer ramps because with Builder Pro I just feel more comfortable placing a ramp instead of a floor piece, but it pretty much totally comes down to personal preference. They both work equally as well. It sounds kind of simple based on the description I just gave, but if you've never done it before, trust me, it definitely does take at least a little bit of practice, especially if you aren't a super great builder. So you don't just want to assume that you're going to be able to do it in an in-game situation and then you end up falling like 20 levels down to your death. And this technique is so important to learn now, especially since bouncers are gone. If you're stuck high in the air after or even during a build fight and you don't have either a shockwave grenade or a launch pad, this is really your best bet to get down quickly and safely. So even though it's kind of considered a bit of an advanced building technique, it's really something you're going to want to incorporate into your game no matter your personal skill level. The next drill we're going to be going over is another building drill, and that is 90-degree terms, or just 90s as they're more commonly referred to in the Fortnite community. As I briefly touched on in my last video, 90s are basically the bread and butter of fast building in Fortnite. They're basically the fastest and most efficient way to build up for high ground while also providing you some pretty solid protection as you do so. Now there are actually 2 different methods to doing 90s in Fortnite. Both definitely get the job done, but I would highly recommend doing one instead of the other. The first is the easier way to do 90s, which is simply placing 2 walls and then a ramp. The second way to do 90s, and the way that pretty much everyone agrees is better, is placing 2 walls, a floor piece, and then a ramp. Is the method without the floor piece easier and even a bit quicker at the end of the day? Yeah, it actually is. But without placing that floor piece, you're opening yourself up to a whole array of possible problems. You're way more likely to Harry Potter yourself and get stuck under your ramp because you don't have that extra little bit of height when placing the floor piece. So basically, if you don't time your jump 100% perfect while you're building, you're pretty much guaranteed to get stuck under your ramp ramp, which will obviously be a major issue in the middle of a build fight. Another thing to note about this drill is that you want to practice doing 90s in both the left and right direction. A lot of people make the mistake of only practicing 90s to the left for whatever reason, but in real game scenarios, there are going to be a lot of times where you have to do 90s to the left, and you also have to do 90s to the right. So it obviously makes sense to make sure you're comfortable with doing both of those options, because a mistake I see in a lot of players when I watch them build fight is they're really comfortable with 90s in one direction, but then whenever they're forced to go in the other direction, they're about half of the speed while going up, which is obviously not ideal. Now, we're going to move on to our first drill that actually incorporates both building and editing at the same time, and when I first saw this drill, I honestly thought it looked a little stupid, but it's actually really helpful, especially for editing speed. So the building part of this drill is basically placing a floor and then a ramp on top of each other over and over again. This actually does have a pretty practical use in-game, since it's basically like a quicker 90, but you give up all protection while doing so. So you're mainly going to see it in build battles when someone's already established high ground, so they aren't really scared of being shot, and then they do this trick to get even a little bit higher. And even though this definitely is good to learn and will help you increase your building speed, the editing part of this drill is personally what I feel more important to improving as a Fortnite player. As soon as you've done the floor ramp combination to however high you want to go, you're going to want to start editing down as fast as possible until you end up reaching the ground. Editing down quickly is another really important skill for a variety of different reasons, whether it's to chase a kill against a turtling opponent, or just to simply escape a fight quickly. Another variation of this drill that is kinda similar is actually building a 1x1 as fast as possible and as high as possible, and then eventually editing down from that the same way you would edit down from the initial drill that I described. Both of these drills should give you the same desired effect at the end of quickly editing ramps and floor pieces in a variety of different ways, so you can either do both drills or just choose whichever method you prefer more. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to be showing you guys in this video today are my favorite and most used wall edits for actually getting kills in Fortnite and how I personally practice them. So wall edits are probably the most important type of edit for actually getting kills in Fortnite because they're in general the most offensive type of edit. You'll see all the time in my gameplays my favorite thing to do against turtling players is to break and replace one of their walls and then edit it and hopefully hit a high damage shotgun shot. So let me start with my personal favorite wall edit in the entire game, which is editing the top 3 squares to remove the top third of the wall. This edit is really awesome and powerful for a variety of different reasons. First off, it is generally unexpected by most players, even highly skilled players. I know when I see someone break and replace one of my walls, the edit I'm pretty much always going to be expecting is going to be a window in either the middle left, middle, or middle right. Another reason I generally prefer this edit over the other possible wall edits is because it also provides you a nice amount of cover and just in general protection. You're pretty much only exposing a really small percentage of the upper part of your body, so you can basically use the remaining 2/3 of the wall as a head glitch, which should make it a fairly easy gunfight for you to win, and especially when there are shotguns involved, that cover is definitely a huge turning point in the fight every single time. But even though I prefer this edit over the other wall edits, it isn't the best in every possible scenario. That's why I would also recommend working on your window edits, and specifically if you want to improve editing speed, work on editing and resetting multiple windows in multiple different spots. Now there's actually a mistake here that a lot of people commonly make when attempting to do this drill, or just editing windows in general. What most people will do is edit a window, open the edit menu again to reset the edit and remove the window, then close and open the edit menu again to make a new window. You can actually remove an entire step in that process by editing a window, but then when you open the edit menu again, you want to reset the edit and then edit a new window at the exact same time without ever taking down the menu. It's actually super confusing to even try to explain that by just using words, so hopefully you can see what I mean by looking at the gameplay where I use this exact technique. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to leave me a comment down in the comment section below. How often do you use editing in your own personal gameplay? Now that console Fortnite has the ability to instant edit, I'm really curious how often my subscribers are personally using that instant edit feature, so be sure to leave me a comment down in the comment section below. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.